Right, time to do some fucking gaming. What the fuck is this, man? Doom? Doom? Seriously, fucking Doom. This is a series that fucking no one has cared about in a long time. I'm guessing Bethesda and id Software are just creating this game to play on people's nostalgia and bring back memories of gaming in the 90s. The good old times. Wow, good thing I was born in 2001. Let's load this piece of shit up. And let's see how much of an obvious, mindless piece of shit first-person shooter this is. I bet it doesn't even have an in-depth narrative and cast of characters that every single game needs to be good, you know? If a game doesn't have an in-depth cast of characters or a narrative, then it's not a good game. That's exactly how it fucking works. So Doom is obviously going to be a piece of fucking shit. The prospect of being the most feared soldier in all of existence, slaying demons with nothing but his bare hands, his big fucking chainsaw, and an arsenal of unique and interesting weapons sounds fucking gay and boring anyway. So let's get into this. Let's see how fucking shit this game is, alright? Oh shit, I think that maybe I might have been a bit wrong about this game, to be honest. Fucking hell. If you can't already tell, you know, from the title of the video and the obvious sarcasm in the intro, that introductory section does not reflect my opinions on Doom 2016. In fact, it's quite the opposite. I love this game. It must have been incredibly difficult to bring a series back that seemingly dropped off the face of the earth in 2004 with Doom 3. Yeah, that Doom, which was atmospherically a horror game but seemed almost Half-Life-esque. Let's be honest though, Doom 64 is the true Doom 3. I'm not saying Doom 3 is bad, it's just not Doom. So we haven't seen a Doom game since 2004, and we haven't seen a traditional Doom game since 1997, 4 years before I was born. Did Doom make a good transition into the modern industry? Do the game's core mechanics of tight movement and high movement speed still interest people today? Does the game include new and engaging mechanics without compromising the series genre? And most importantly, is Doom 2016 fun? Well, my answer would be yes, 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 and yes. Doom is a series that, much like Duke Nukem, was reaching a state of fatigue and was slowly being phased out by new shooters with more modern mechanics. The industry just no longer needed the Doom from the 90s that countless people spent hours on in their youth, slaying demons and kicking ass. And so Doom, along with other games from the same era, was phased out and replaced, which I'm sure only made its explosive comeback in 2016 all the more exciting. Doom came back when everyone needed it to, in a time where games are either watered down pseudo-RPG open world garbage or over-monetized FPS bollocks. Doom is no bullshit, gets you straight into the gore and gameplay from the get-go and wastes no time holding players' hand with in-depth tutorials. The first introductory section of Doom 2016 is perfect. It gets you straight into it, introduces the game's story as well as showing us what Doom guys like. Still angry as fuck and ready to seek vengeance upon those who locked him in a box with no legroom for the rest of eternity. The purpose of the game is to rip and tear from the very beginning to the very end. And this is exactly what the player is constantly doing. Smashing, breaking, and gunning your way to the end of each level. And it's never looked or felt cooler than it does in Doom 2016. Doom has always been about moving fast, being fully in control of your movement, and pulverizing every demon that gets within 5 feet of your shiny green arse. Doom 2016 successfully keeps this formula. Yeah, you may not move as fast as you do in previous Doom games, and there is a bit more of an emphasis on verticality, which we'll talk about later on. But on the whole, Doom's gameplay is an absolute pleasure to behold because it's so refined and so polished. The game is just so satisfying because Doom Guy is always in control of his surroundings. For example, horror games such as Resident Evil, The Evil Within, Alone in the Dark, Silent Hill. Hell, even Fear limits the player's movement, pun completely intended. This is done to make the player feel vulnerable and to strip them of their power. Doom, on the other hand, does the complete opposite. It makes players feel as if they are violently in control of everything they do. Doom Guy moved so swiftly and so quickly that it's hard not to just feel like the most badass motherfucker in the room while playing. The same goes for actual interactions with items and objects within the world. The way Doom Guy interacts with objects in the game through button prompts grounds the player within the world and environment. A lot of FPS games include these button prompts to interact with objects, but little to none of them have specific animations that play for every single button prompt in the entire game. It's quite satisfying to see the way Doom Guy handles certain objects, such as picking up a new weapon, grabbing a ritual skull to open a door, or even lifting up a door. This interactivity is paramount to breaking up sections of gameplay, to give the player the much needed few seconds to breathe and assess their situation. The same goes for the glory kill feature, in which you can unleash devastating finishes upon all enemies in the game, which gives the player a good few seconds to enjoy a satisfying kill animation while also being able to think about what their next move is going to be. The gameplay in Doom just doesn't care what people think about it, which is why I love it so much. You'd think that a game that was literally blamed for the Columbine school shootings would play it a little more safe when it comes to the level of violence and gore that the game includes. However, Doom says fuck you to all the people that believe video games cause violence, and to the people that believe video games make kids susceptible to satanic worship, which by the way is fucking insane that anyone can believe that, especially in a game like Doom, where our sole purpose is to kick demon ass and force Satan to run to the hills with his tail between his legs. The gameplay of Doom is unapologetic and may look like a mindless shooter, but it's way more than that. There's definitely a certain elegance to the way the combat works. The mixture of the high movement speed, tight controls and double jump makes for an incredibly versatile experience that doesn't overbear you with sprinting, reloading, dodgy cover systems, jetpacks, wall running or aiming down sights, especially with the wide variety of enemies that endlessly throw themselves in. Which segues us nicely into talking about the masterful enemy design in Doom. Each enemy in the game serves a purpose and is more susceptible to different types of weapons. Cacodemons are slow but a big target, which means the Gauss Cannon is perfect for taking them out. The grenade launcher on the standard shotgun is amazing at killing revenants, and the super shotgun is pretty much good at killing everything that moves. The enemies in Doom are so well rounded and all serve the purpose that they need to. Imps are standard enemies that serve pretty much as cannon fodder, however they can catch you off guard. Hell Knights are close quarters beasts that unleash a barrage of attacks to keep the pressure on. Summoners are support roles that spawn in more enemies and can teleport to evade your attacks. What I'm trying to say is, each enemy is almost like their own class with their own abilities, behaviors and movesets, which is up to the player to learn, master and exploit. The combat of Doom is fun because it's almost like a dance, including constant mobility, dodging, positioning, and rapid fire decision making. One problem concerning the navigation and movement of the game lies within the various jumping puzzle sections of the game. Now, I'm not saying that they're bad, because jumping puzzle or parkour sections in games are not inherently shit. I just think the ones in Doom feel very out of place, and they stagger the flow of the gameplay. Now, you could say that their purpose is to give the player a breather from the heat of combat, but these jumping sections are so ridiculously easy that they might as well not be in there at all, because you complete them so quickly that there's pretty much no point in them. If they were a fun challenge, then I'd understand, but they aren't. All they do is ruin the flow of the game, which is a huge shame, because the rest of the game is as smooth as melted butter. Doom isn't all about ripping and tearing, contrary to popular belief. There is a heavy emphasis on exploration, secrets, and challenges, especially when you're playing on the higher difficulties. Exploration rewards the player tenfold in Doom. You can find suit upgrades, weapon upgrades, ammo, armor, health, or even Rune Trials, which reward the player with runic abilities that alter the way you play the game completely. I especially loved the Rune Trials in this game. Not only were they fun, but they offered unparalleled rewards, such as the ability to perform glory kills from much further away, the ability to cheat death twice, or an ability that made it possible for enemies to drop BFG ammo. Exploration is equally as important as killing demons in this game, and it was so nice to play the game like this. On my first playthrough back in 2016, I blitzed through the game, not caring about the additional content at all, which sort of soiled my view of the game because I didn't experience the wide breadth of content that it had to offer. It's safe to say that this second playthrough was leagues better than the first. It's just a shame it took me 3 years to come back and give it another go. Some of the coolest features of each level are the secret lever that opens up a classic area from the original Doom, which also unlocks a whole classic level for you to play that can be accessed via the main menu. The fact that these were included in the game shows that Doom was created by a team of developers who care about the origins of the franchise and aren't afraid to pay homage to it through secrets hidden within the game itself. Doom may not boast a completely unique and interesting cast of characters, but the supporting characters within this game are not people, but weapons and abilities at Doom Guy's disposal. Doom has always had sick fucking weapons, and this game is no different. You start the game with essentially a pea shooter, however your arsenal quickly grows until you have awesome armaments such as the chain gun, the Gauss cannon, the rocket launcher, the chainsaw, and my personal favourite, the super shotgun. Not to mention the BFG, which is probably the most satisfying weapon I've had the pleasure of using in an FPS. All of the weapons in Doom serve one purpose and one purpose only: to kill the fuck out of any demon scum that dares to come near you. And boy, are they all so fun to use. Doom also boasts quite an in-depth customization system that does borrow some ideas from recent RPGs. However, I think that this customization is well placed because it doesn't force the player to partake. However, it is very beneficial if you do decide to upgrade your suit, weapons, and overall combat capabilities. As I addressed earlier, exploration rewards a player with upgrades and the potential to acquire passive abilities. Finding Predator tokens allows you to upgrade various components of the Predator suit: environmental resistance, area scanning technology, equipment systems, power-up effectiveness, and dexterity, as well as being able to upgrade the amount of health, ammo, and armor that you can carry by finding Argent cells. The first thing that I fully upgraded was the area scanning technology tree, as this meant that it was essentially a walk in the park to find all the different secrets, Argent cells, and Predator tokens later down the line, which meant that I was able to reach pretty much peak damage potential by the end of the game. Same goes for Rune Trials. By the end of the game, I had every rune ability unlocked, with many of my favourites actually being upgraded through the challenges that come with the level 1 version of the abilities. On top of this customization, every weapon in the game is upgradable through field drones, which allow you to put attachments on your guns, as well as being able to select which feature of your weapon you want to upgrade by using weapon upgrade tokens. Let's be honest, this upgrading system is nothing flashy and it's been done before countless times. However, it works well and perfectly fits the hectic nature of the game. I want to get back to shooting demons, not fucking around in a menu for 5 minutes selecting what gear I want, which is why this simplified RPG system of upgrading works so well for Doom. Also, whilst we're on the topic of collectibles and secrets, one of my biggest gripes in this game has got to be the fact that when you're searching for collectibles as a completionist, you're constantly bringing up the map to see if you've missed anything, which can really break the gameplay up. But I suppose this is a personal problem and not necessarily a huge problem of the game itself. That's just a testament to how good this game is, when one of my only problems isn't even really a problem at all. Before I jump into my thoughts on the multiplayer, I wanted to briefly go over the story, of which there isn't much, but that's how it was intended to be. Doom's story begins with Doom Guy awakening from his sleep after being tricked into being enclosed into a sarcophagus that would house his sleeping consciousness for the rest of eternity. You are the Doomslayer, a man so powerful and filled with rage that he single-handedly traversed across dimensions into hell, killed countless demons, and was thus named the Doomslayer by demonkind.
In the first age, in the first battle, when the shadows first lengthened, one stood, burned by the embers of Armageddon, his soul blistered by the fires of hell, and tainted beyond ascension. He chose the path of perpetual torment. In his ravenous hatred, he found no peace, and with boiling blood, he scoured the umbral plains, seeking vengeance against the Dark Lords who had wronged him. He wore the crown of the Night Sentinels, and those that tasted the bite of his sword named him the Doomslayer.
Basically, the whole plot of the game is to stop the demonic infestation of Mars, which requires the help of an AI called Vega, as well as the chairman of the UAC, Samuel Hayden, which also happens to be a cyborg who used Argent technology to create a biomechanical body to combat his incurable brain cancer. I just want to mention that Samuel Hayden's voice actor, Darren DePaul, is fucking phenomenal in this game. The voice of Samuel Hayden is absolutely chilling. From a story perspective, the person responsible for everything going tits up is Olivia Pierce, who betrayed Samuel so that she could open the gates to hell for some weird fucking reason. The plot takes the shape of many other sci-fi stories. Humanity finds an untempered energy source on Mars, begins to fuck with it to harness it, everything goes horribly wrong, releasing an onslaught of demons onto Mars, and Doom Guy has to single-handedly save humanity. The story of Doom is not awfully engaging, but this was stylistically done to not take away from the main character of the game. You. The Doomslayer is nothing more than a vessel for the player to fuck shit up with. Obviously he has his own backstory and lore, but any more narrative would have taken away from what Doom is at its core. Fun. The story serves pretty much as a contextual excuse to allow the player to run around shooting things and generally raining down heaven upon these pathetic pieces of demon scum. If you're still not happy with the story, to be honest, I don't know why the fuck anyone would sit there and play Doom for the story, but if you're still not happy with the amount of story, exposition, or lore in the game, there is a codex which includes a lot of lore and information about the world that you're playing in. I found myself actually reading quite a lot about the various people, places, weapons, and demons that play an integral role in Doom's universe, which was a nice change of pace every now and then from mutilating demons. Including a codex with all the game's lore and information was the best thing for Doom. This means that people can learn about the story, but on their own time, not on the game's time. Something that I think Doom does great that other single-player FPS fail to achieve is the feeling of complete and utter freedom to do whatever you want in whatever mission you're playing. Remember when Captain Price is telling you what to do every fucking second of every single mission in Call of Duty? Or in Halo, when Cortana is telling you which way to go and what the next objective is? Both Soak McTavish from Modern Warfare and Master Chief from Halo listen to their respective superiors because they trust them, because they know what they're talking about, and it's in their best interest to listen to them. In Doom, the Doomslayer does not give a shit what other people are telling him to do. He does it in his way, on his terms, in his time.
Temporarily disabling the tower. You need to remove each lens individually. Carefully release the hinges.
Warning. Energy contamination detected.
Destroying the production of Argent energy isn't necessary.
In a nutshell, Doom's story is downplayed on purpose so that it doesn't take away from the player's time ripping and tearing through their enemies to save the entirety of humanity from immediate demonic possession. Doom's multiplayer component is a bit of a weird one because it feels so out of place, considering the masterpiece that was the single player campaign. The multiplayer just doesn't hold true to the original Doom classic arena shooter gameplay. It ain't bad. In fact, the gunplay is terrific, the mobility is satisfying as it was in the single player, and it's generally refreshing. But the Doom multiplayer component was modernised very heavily. It really reminded me of the Halo 4 multiplayer, which is funny because it's developed by Certain Affinity, which developed both Doom and Halo 4's multiplayer component. Both of these games' multiplayer modes suffer from the same problem, which is the lack of originality that older games in the series possessed. Halo 4's multiplayer failed to live up to Halo 2 or 3, and Doom's multiplayer failed to live up to the granddaddy of arena shooters, 1993's Doom. To be fair to developers, the origin of arena shooter PvP gameplay is quite hard to beat, and they gave it a good go. It's just there's no reason for me to get invested in it because, quite frankly, I don't care enough about the multiplayer of Doom at all. It can be fun, as I said, but it's awfully uninspired and modernised and just doesn't feel right. I mean, there's fucking loadouts and emotes and weird weapon camo upgrades which just didn't need to be in there at all. The new obsession with camos and skins and emotes in PvP games is ridiculous, and the fact that Doom of all games includes that bollocks is a bit of a jab in the gut, considering Doom paved the way for all FPS games and now it's falling in line with the rest of them. Either way, Doom's multiplayer component does not bother me because you can enjoy the single player without even dreaming of loading up the multiplayer. And the single player is the main component of the game that was developed directly by id Software, so that's the only part of the game that I really care about. Doom 2016's multiplayer is ultimately kind of a pointless component, which is probably why they chose to remove it in the upcoming Doom Eternal in favour of a more creative, interesting mode. Overall, the multiplayer in this game was just very meh, and that's the verdict. In the end, Doom had to come back after its hiatus from 2004. The gaming industry truly had lost its way, and it's almost as if Doom came back to slap everyone back to reality. The games need to be fun, and that Doom was going to show everyone what true, unapologetic, unadulterated fun is. The gameplay of this game is unparalleled, the weapons are all fantastic, the game's natural progression and reward for exploration is great too. The story is passable, but intentionally so, and the multiplayer is forgettable at best, but fun if you can look past the lost identity and modernisation of Doom's multiplayer content. This game is amazing, and I'm so glad to have replayed it, but this time I went very in depth and experienced all the content the game had to offer. And Doom Eternal just on the horizon just means more enemies, more weapons, more environments, and more rip and tear.